What? And where does it stop? What an opening! Way to go, Joe! Way to go! I mean, that is exactly. If you people don't stop applauding, the audience at home will not be able to hear me. And that's why they're watching. I'm just kidding. This audience is very uptight. They thought they were coming to the Mary Povich show, where the two women fighting over Martina Navratilova were. Anyway, you see that little dial? I mean, that is, what is it from a day-to-day basis? What is this administration going to say? And therein lies our lesson tonight from the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Look at the approval rating, 37%. Do you know that's the lowest any president's approval rating has been at this point in his presidency since they started taking these kinds of measurements? You know when that was? Anybody know?
Eisenhower?
Eisenhower. Very good. Actually, it goes back to Truman. Truman was at 92%, but that was scientific. Nobody can be that high, not even me. Now, have you heard about this sexual harassment stuff that's announced yesterday? Everybody, practically everybody in high school today, junior high and high school, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, Chicano, Utah, is victimized by sexual harassment. I warned you people about this, and I will go back in time and show you what I meant. Please, a little decorum from the audience. You know, Joe, if you're watching back, what we need here is make this thumb go boom, because she's headed. This is Lonnie Guinier, and she's deep trouble. We have the kiss of death for her tonight, as articulated by your and our fourth monitor. If we get to it, it's a goodie. Do you remember in San Diego, Lorne Fleming stood up at that town meeting and asked the first question, Mr. President, can you name for me one country that's taxed itself into prosperity? The president said, no, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Tax and spend, da-da-da-da-da. San Diego Union then launched an investigative report into this man because one of his ex-wives, what a credible source, one of his, well, I'm sorry, but I just... There's obviously an ex-wife in the front row. Somebody's are you from Memphis too, madam? Originally wants to keep her right there. She is. The one on the left was the one giving me the dirty look. Anyway, the San Diego Union launches this major investigation designed to discredit the guy. Why? You're not supposed to ask tough questions of the president. Why, it's not nice to do. So we made the guy a poster boy, and the Wall Street Journal called me and said, understand that you've made the guy a poster boy on your show. I said, absolutely right. He said, do you know that the San Diego Union is getting death threats? The reporter there is being harassed. I didn't know that, but the Wall Street Journal wrote a story linking my making Lorne Fleming a poster boy to that kind of behavior out in San Diego. I didn't do anything of the sort. And in the context of talking to the reporter at the Wall Street Journal, I said, look, you got to understand what I do in context. I made a poster boy out of that idiot in Richmond, Virginia. And if anybody ever needed to be investigated, it was him, and you guys didn't, because you loved his question. You made a hero out of him. All you did was allow him to take character, the most important thing in an election, out of it. And instead, you allowed him to frame this thing as paternalism. A president is our father. Why didn't you guys go after that guy? Well, I don't know. We're talking about Lord Fleming now. I said, well, if the guy never paid his taxes, if the guy's an axe murderer, it's still a good question, and you guys ought to be asking it. I mean, Senator Kennedy, look what he's done in his life, and I don't see you guys trying to invalidate what he says, and if anybody deserves to be invalidated, it's Ted Kennedy. Now watch this. The president was in Milwaukee yesterday. We have some clips, by the way, of the president from Milwaukee. You will think it's campaign day all over again. You think it's last fall. In fact, you may think you're listening to Ronald Reagan when you hear this. But there was a heckler in the audience. We have enhanced this a bit. It's very short. It's only 6 seconds. So please, I'll give you 5 seconds to grab your TV remote control and turn it up. Grab the volume control. It's the up arrow for those of you in Rio Linda. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your volume should all be up now.
This country has taxed itself prosperity. Name me one.
You see what's happening here is the press refuses to ask the questions, so members of this audience are forced to do it for them. And I applaud that guy. Now, I want to warn everybody, and you especially, sir, whoever you are, the Milwaukee Sentinel. There he is. The Milwaukee Sentinel will no doubt launch an investigation into this guy. Find out what kind of scurrilous things his ex-wives say about him to discredit that question. We've got the rest of our show coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back. Those of you who are regular, I have warned you people several times about the applause. This is very nice. We must move. I feel like, am I shouting to be heard over the applause? Vocal cords are precious here, my friends. Please reconsider it. Now watch, now they're not going to make any noise the rest of the show. We have a very good friend in the audience tonight. If you listen to the radio show regularly, you'll know that Tia from the United Kingdom flew all the way to Fort Collins, Colorado from Britain to go to Dan's Bake Sale. There she is. She brought me a gorgeous tie that will just go great on our fireside chat show when we have those stupid fish in the fake aquarium. All right, the title of this segment is, and this is an object lesson for those of you as to how to follow this administration. Now, I'm very serious about this. You're going to hear the president, a couple clips from his speech in Milwaukee, and you're going to say, it sounds all conservative. Maybe this Gergen guy, who hasn't gone to work yet, keep that in mind, he's in Bermuda on vacation. Maybe this Gergen guy is making a difference. Or maybe Clinton's changing. Maybe he realizes that all his leftward tilt isn't working. Listen to these clips, and then we'll have some advice for you after. The first clip is, I don't know how you do this, as brazen as you can get. He's in Milwaukee describing what he thinks the American voters want.
And what you got to decide is whether you want more hot air, more rhetoric, more politicians up there telling you what you want to hear, or somebody who will tell you the truth, turn the country around, and get the economy going again. I think that's what you want, and I hope you'll support your members of Congress and me as we try to do that.
Was somebody telling me he won the election? This is incredible to watch. You know what you want? You want somebody going there and turn the economy around? It has. You know, this guy, I don't think he'll ever see a recovery he lost. I don't care what people think out there. This economy is not in the dregs. It hasn't been in a long, long time. It's not nearly as bad as he makes it out or thinks it is. And there are jobs being created, and there is economic activity, while the housing starts are at an all-time high. Now, I want to give you another bit of advice before we go to the next clip. One of the things these people are saying, people in the administration are saying, is they're going to raise all your taxes, but don't worry. For those of you in the middle class, the way we'll handle that, we're going to give you the earned income tax credit, and you're going to benefit profoundly because our interest rates are low, meaning you will have more money to spend on stuff. Because after all, what life's about is going out and buying stuff. Well, interest rates are very low, an all-time low in some cases for mortgages. Well, not all-time, but huge low for a long time. Period of years is like 10 or 15, maybe more. And the president thinks he's responsible for that, but he is not. The interest rates have been plummeting for the last 2 years, a total of 24 times the Fed has lowered interest rates. Clinton just happened to move into the House during the 23rd of the 24 lowering. So he thinks he's got something to do with it. Now, let me ask you this question, seriously. Everybody out there think of this. Interest rates all-time low, and yet, are you spending any money? Do you feel like you're in the midst of economic prosperity and a big-time boom? Of course not. I'll tell you this. Interest rates are not going to go significantly lower than they are now. In fact, many think they're going to go higher. A lot of people would love interest rates to go way up, especially when it comes to real estate, inflation, and everything else. So don't buy this argument that lower interest rates are going to make you able to enjoy a more prosperous life. If it hasn't that now, it isn't going to mean that in the future. Here's cut two, where the president now all of a sudden realizes that there are limits on government. Watch.
Some, but not all, in the National Democratic Party have placed too much faith in the whole politics of entitlement. The idea that big bureaucracies and government spending demanding nothing in return can produce the results we want. We know that is simply not true. There is a limit to how much government can do.
Now here's the lesson. Here is the lesson. Two things. What does this president have to do when he gets in trouble? What does this president have to do when he needs to get elected? He talks conservatism, doesn't he? What does that mean? It means, obviously, there are more people who respond favorably to that than there are people who respond favorably to a liberal approach, right? Doesn't that tell you that the people of this country might properly be described as leaning more to the right than to the left? Every time this guy gets in trouble, what does he do? He talks conservatism. But pay no attention to what he says. If there's one lesson that we should have all learned, especially those of you who've had the benefit of either watching or listening to me in the past year, and that is that the words uttered by this man are absolutely, utterly meaningless. Instead, watch what he does. And what just happened last week? The largest tax increase in the history of America. That's what happened. What he says now is worthless. And don't forget, they cheered it. We showed you. They were happy. He's happy. Pay no attention to what he says. Don't buy it this time, folks. Don't bite on it. Don't go for it. You still have a very liberal president with very liberal tendencies and a really liberal wife. Back on it. Now, I want to take you back, my good friends, to the Anita Clarence Thomas hearings, where, let us review briefly what really happened. A woman with no evidence, as it didn't happen, came forth, was dragged forth, actually, by a bunch of liberals in the Senate committee, and said that she had been sexually harassed by Clarence Thomas. The only problem is that her only corroborating witness, Susan Merchner, a workman's compensation referee, now called a judge out in California so she can get a raise, said that she got a call from Anita Hill in the spring of '81 claiming Clarence, her supervisor, had harassed her. The truth is that she had not gone to work for Clarence Thomas until the fall of 1981. There was no evidence whatsoever. There was no endless parade of victims, other women who came forward. Yeah, he did it to me too. He did it to me too. And all, of course, the feminists say is, man doesn't do it once, he's born that way. Most men sexually harass just by breathing. Most men are guilty of sexual harassment just walking around and being themselves. That's what they believe. And they took the occasion of these hearings, where the confirmation of a man to sit as an associate justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, to advance this silly, anti-male sexual harassment agenda. And I warned you back then, I said, you watch what's going to happen because of this. This is nothing more than the first step. This is not the solution to the problem. This is just the beginning of one where a bunch of mad, angry, militant feminists are going to take the occasion to redefine male behavior as sexual harassment throughout the case. So, I'm right. We have the, I am. We got two clips for you. The American Association of University Women. They have conducted a lengthy survey with Lewis Harris, and the results of this survey are most amazing. Watch the first of our two clips, and hold on, folks.
The AAUW survey on sexual harassment in America's schools exposes the grim fact that sexual harassment is a common experience to the majority of American public school students. An amazing 81% of all students surveyed said they had been sexually harassed. America's schools are experiencing a sexual harassment epidemic. Every day, students are targets of sexual harassment in hostile hallways and classrooms. And every day, sexual harassment denies millions of children the educational environment they need to succeed.
Sexual harassment is the educational... How about rotten curriculum in schools, madam? Now stop and think of something here, folks. Stop and think of it. I heard her say that 81% of students, grades 8 through 11, that's junior high school. 8th grade is junior high. 8 through 11, 81% have been sexually harassed. Do you know what that means? It means 19% of the students are doing the harassing, and 81% are the victims. Do we believe that? I'll tell you what this is. This is exactly what I said. This is nothing more than an attempt to define normal male adolescent behavior as sexual harassment. Of course, when you're just growing up and all of a sudden you start seeing things that you've never seen before. I wonder what that is. I mean, don't you remember in high school you tried to bump into somebody just to find out what it felt like? I mean, everybody does it. It's normal. Yeah, I'll tell you, folks, pardon me for just a second here. This is going to offend some of you, but this is absolutely normal, and thank God it happens. Otherwise, there wouldn't be babies. This is the kind of stuff that causes babies. And I'll tell you what I'm getting tired of. If I may be blunt here for just a second. I'm getting sick and tired of people like this and others coming to you and me with all of this despicable, sick, abnormal behavior and demanding of us that we love it, that we accept it, that we proclaim it to be normal, whatever it may be it drug use or promiscuity in any way. And they come to us and say, you can't judge that. Why? This is, and then they come and say that this kind of stuff is rotten and bad and one of the main problems in the American education system, and all it is normal human behavior. Normal human behavior. And I have another question. Did they take this survey after these idiots passed out the condoms or before? Back in a moment. Now, here's what this survey said constitutes sexual harassment. Comments. Looks like being stared at. Ogling. You ogle somebody. You sexually harass. You invade their space, whatever the hell that means. Telling jokes. That's sexual harassment. Touching, grabbing, pinching. All these things. We sent Nick Africano out on the streets of New York today and asked him to speak to people on the street about this stupid survey, and here's what they told us.
A survey today released by the American Association of University Women says that 81% of high school students have been sexually harassed at school. I'd like to know what you think of this statistic.
Well, that sounds awful high.
I think the statistic is probably accurate from my personal experience and experience of my friends.
It's possible, but without definite proof, you know, how... I think it's possible.
That's brilliant.
I think it's just more liberal jibe that is
right.
In the press and in the media, and it's just another trumped-up statistic that the media would like us to believe.
It's another way of getting therapists and lawyers into our lives. It's another way just to, you know, instead of empowering ourselves. That's a word I'd probably get buzzed on this show, right?
What if I told you that harassment included leering, ogling, brushing up against someone, tugging at clothes, spreading of rumors?
Seems if you to define that broadly, I can be hard to find 19% that hadn't been brushed up against by someone.
It's defined too widely. I mean, sexual harassment's being alive, it sounds like. I'd say 81%. If you define it so broadly, you can get any number you want.
If you're a man and you're alive, and if your zipper is not at half-mast, you're guilty of sexual harassment. It's that simple. That's what they're trying to do. But you know the real danger, my friends, is this is going to mask real sexual harassment. When they say everything's sexual harassment, they're just devaluing the whole concept. See you in our next show.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
Governor, are you prepared to take the constitutional oath? I am.
8 of the most memorable years of American history are yours, captured for all time on video cassette. National Review brings you Ronald Reagan, an American President, a 1-hour video chronicle of the Reagan years. It's the story of one man's determination and leadership, of our nation's triumphs, tragedies, and return to greatness. The Reagan years, a time of explosive economic growth and greatness for America. This video will make you laugh, make you cry, make you proud.
I'd like my presidency to be remembered as the one that gave the government back to the people.
Call 1-800-453-3307 now and receive 18 issues of National Review for only $29.95. With your paid subscription, we'll rush you free and postpaid Ronald Reagan, an American President. Call 1-800-453-3307 now. Call now.
Up on Q13 News at 5:30. A New Mexico family questions the state police's report about a member of their family and why he was shot to death. The story at 5:30.
If you'd like to order a video cassette of Rush's TV show for only $24.95, just call 1-800-FOR-VIDEO for a transcript. Send $5 to Burrell's Transcripts, Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039, or call 1-800-777-TEXT.